Alright, back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup. So, I got through the list. The only thing I got left here is removing the seam sealer on the interior side, and legitimately the only seam sealer I got to remove is up underneath the dash. And so, yeah, it took way less time than I thought it was going to take, which is cool. So, walk you through. So I did get this panel here burnt in that covers up the that little zigzaggy piece that was on the other side that caused the rust. I didn't weld up here on this top or bottom yet because when I cleaned up the backside I painted it to try to help keep any of the rust from getting worse. And so I didn't, it's so horrible to try to get like some sort of sanding to get bare metal back there, so I'll just wait until that comes back from blast. Hopefully they'll clean all that up, and I'll just do quick little lines top and bottom there to finish that off. And then I do use high temperature paint on the backside there, so self-etching primer and then high temp paint, hopefully to try to keep, when you're burning stuff in here, to try to keep as much metal behind it as possible. I figure you lose some, but you know, at least all this, the way all this is all covered up, which is good. Also did a panel here, and so I had, like, as is typical, I had a couple little dots of something, hit it with the wire wheel, and then this just sort of blew up. So it had this panel in here, and then you welded down on the bottom as well, which is why you can see here where that gets through to the other side. So this is all done here. I did take all of my identification plates off, so those don't get ruined when it comes back from blast. And then I did dig out in this corner a little bit, so just use the heat gun and some scrapers to try to like get as much as that seam sealer out as I could. Hopefully that little bit that's left in there, professional blasting equipment will get that off. My crappy little blaster don't do nothing to that stuff, but hopefully the better blasters they use commercially will get through that. And then I'm looking through at the firewall, and it's just got all these holes in it, but I don't know how much I'm going to need, and so I'm totally punting on all of that. So I don't know if all of these things will line up, like brakes, the master cylinder, everything. So I'm leaving everything open, even though I know I probably will end up patching a bunch of them, because I won't need as many holes as it has right now, but we'll see. I don't know. And then there was a little bit left, and this wasn't on the list, and I thought, well, I'll just take the little piece of the battery tray that was left over. So battery set right here, and there was a little like reinforcement plate, and I thought, well, I'll just drill out the spot welds and air chisel it off. And the metal underneath it was weak, so it tore. So I had a little piece about right here that tore, and then I just put the wire wheel on it in order to clean it up so I could weld. And it was just like scale and crap and horrible metal and everything all the way back to here, which is like so stupid that I thought, oh, I'll just remove this little bracket. And then now obviously the panel I got to do is 10 times bigger than what I thought I was going to do. And it's also going to be pretty tricky. And so there's really not a good way to do this. So I got sort of this compound curve up here. I got this. It rounds, bends up. This is mostly flat here from this panel that I put in. And then this is, I use the ruler in order to get these lines straight. So I do have a couple of good straight lines, and then I didn't leave like a perfect little dot triangle, just cut a little flat spot here in order to give me some, area to work with. If I cut this like perfectly to where it was just like a perfect, regular triangle angle here, trying to get that, and then a little point of metal, you'd go to weld it and it would just weld right and you just melt. And so, you know, I flattened this off here. And so this will be pretty tricky. I'll probably like end up like, you know, bend in a few different pieces. Like might try to like hammer this and dolly this flatter than it is right now. And then this has a couple like bends, which I don't think they're intentional. I think that it's just been beat up over the years. And so I might try to flatten this metal a bit in order to get the panel to fit in there a bit better. But yeah, I mean, you can see all the different angles that are in here, that this one's going to be pretty tricky. So I got my cardboard. I'll get tracing, cutting. You know, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. I'll turn it off, and I won't be able, I don't think there's any way I'll be able to get it fully in there by the time the video is too stupid and long. So, all right. Alright, so yeah, I was just dry fitting that in there in order to give me an idea if this is going to work out okay, and then just putting some marks where there's going to be bends, and so this way I know that I'm going to have to bend this panel down in order to get it to follow that contour right there, and then I'll need to bend it this way as well in order for it to follow the top contour. And so if I just stick it up in there, it seems like it's too long, but after it gets bent, then it looks like it follows just fine. Same thing there when that gets bent down. So yeah, this one's going to be a whole bunch of trial and error. So I'll get this cut out, and I'll get like probably this bend here, which it follows this bend here, follows this whole thing, and like I said, I got to bend this out a little bit because it's not flush here. But if I bend it here and get that whole thing turned this other direction, then this whole section here should be better in alignment versus, if I tried to focus on this bend back here and got all this stuff up, I think that this is going to be the more key bend to work on. And then this one that's here in the corner, once I put the bend in it, I won't be able to put this panel in the bender anymore because it'll be bent on this direction. And then when I need to get into this corner in order to get this edge lined up, I'll be able to put that. I'll show you what I end up doing for those. But I end up putting that in the vise. Let's see here. So I end up opening up the jaws of the vise like this, and so this piece will be bent down like that, so I won't be able to put it in the bender anymore. But in order to get this bent the other direction, I can put it in the vise and hit that with the hammer, and it'll end up following that contour that I open in the vise. So the reason I put those marks there is I can open the vise up to the same width as those marks and try to get the bend to follow that same contour. So alright, well, I'll get that cut out, and like I said, this will be a really fiddly one, but we'll get after it. Alright, thanks. See you in the next one.